Hello, 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 hello. I didn't see you say start recording. Anyway, Aurelia Davis here on a Friday afternoon. Boy, this week has just flew by, flew by, flew by, flew by. But I'm here. Glad to see everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. And I've been talking about retreating or the Thrive retreat this week. And when I looked up the word retreat, it basically is connected with an army backing up. Okay. Well, some of you teachers may have felt that you were in a war this whole year. Hopefully, it wasn't that bad, but at the same time, just teaching itself, the full capacity of being there every day and being able to deliver educational information to your students on a day-to-day basis, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and then being able to go home on the weekend and then start all over again. If you think about how long the whole year and how this has happened to you, you need a break. You need a break. I remember when I was doing it and I would just pray for summer. I would just pray for the summer to come very quickly. I would pray for even the holidays in between because it was something that I needed in order for me to regroup, in order for me to de-stress. And not saying that every day I taught was a bad day or I had problems happening, but at the same time, just to be able to put the energy in from week to week and then be able to, you almost collapse on Friday afternoon and you get a little bit more strength and then you start to build up, try to build up your strength on Sunday so you can go back on Monday. Well, when you think about that week after week, day after day, hour after hour, all of the time that you have put into this year teaching students and just being glad that they are being able to get some of the information you're getting, you deserve a break. And that break is the Thrive Retreat. If you have not yet gone over to my website, aureliadavis.com, go over to my website and click on the Thrive Retreat. That's going to be taking place July 30th through August 4th in Tulum, Mexico. This particular retreat is for all educators, anybody in the field of education that feel you want to come and just share and just join other educators. This is the place for you to be. We're going to be the setting itself and the venue that we're going to be at is just beautiful. We're going to be it's set on the beach, and at the same time we are we're talking about meals, 3 meals a day, beautiful rooms, so on and so forth, yoga, workshops, and you name it, we're going to be doing it at the Thrive Retreat. So if you have not yet gone over to my website, go over to my website, aureliadavis.com, click on the Thrive Retreat, register, and get ready to come. See you there. Okay, but anyway, let me get to the subject at hand. Federal grants offered to prison students a second chance at a college education. I'm sort of iffy about this. Because the unfortunate thing is that these young people are in prison. They are in prison, and the semi-fortunate thing is that they are allowed to get a college education, or they're going to be offered grants so they can get a college education. My question is this: why do children have to be placed in prison in order for them to decide that education is something very valuable? Okay, so that means that somewhere on the outside there should be something that we're doing as a society to let students know that you don't have to go to prison in order to go to college. Hello, you don't have to go to prison to go to college. And then when you think about the cultures that are in our prisons, mostly black and brown students, mostly black and brown men, boys, and whatever, which is very, very unfortunate. And then something that I thought about when when you're talking about young men that are in prison and you're talking about them getting an education while they are in prison. And if they come out of prison, is that prison prison being a prisoner, is that still on their record? That's what I'm saying. Is there an expungement in place, even though you have a degree? Have what you have, what you were in prison for in the first place, have that been expunged? Expunged mean wiped off of your record, wiped off of your record. And the unfortunate thing also is that prison holds down a lot of activities that young people can do. And the unfortunate thing is that they don't think before they act. They do not think before they act. Um, I was having a conversation about a young person that I knew, and the unfortunate thing is that they did something that after they did it, they regretted it. But by that time, it was too late. By that time, it was too late. So I'm all for it that there are going to be grants for these young people to get college education and college degrees. But what I am not for is that they had to go to prison in order for these grants to be given to them. So, what opportunities are given to them before they take the road to prison? What opportunities are available to them before they end up in prison? And it looked like there should be more opportunities available to them before they go to prison than after they get into prison. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Okay. Um, a lot of our young people, unfortunately, start very early in life going toward the wrong way, especially if they're not guided in the right direction. And sometimes that can be the fault of society. A lot of times it's the fault of society. Sometimes it's the fault of the school system. Sometimes it's the fault of relatives. But in the meantime, that word about it takes a village. It still takes a village. It's more important for a village to grab a hold of these children now than ever before. At one time, we felt that we couldn't say anything to anybody else's child. Well, I'm old school. So if I see a child going in the wrong direction, I'm going to give them some advice, whether they accept it or not. Whether they accept it or not, I'm going to offer some advice. And then my conscience is clear because I was able to give them some advice. And just guiding and directing them in the right direction is what's going to be needed to keep them from making these mistakes where they end up in prison. My mother, Rosalie Jones, she believed in family helping family. And she believed in family helping family, especially if it was appreciated. If it was appreciated, she said that if you tried to help them and they didn't appreciate it, then back off, because they were never ever going to appreciate it. But if you started working with somebody in your family where you saw that they needed help and assistance, and you start offering that assistance to them and they accepted it in a gracious manner, thank you so much, blah blah. Sometimes you don't even have to say thank you so much, just for them to even be able to accept it and say, I appreciate what you're doing for me, is something that is needed. Unfortunately, a lot of families do no longer work like that. No longer work like that. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was stating that somebody in her family wanted to come and stay with her. Well, she immediately said no, for the simple reason that she has offered she's been there and done that before, and offered a place for this person to stay, and they still have not gotten themselves together where they can stand on their own 2 feet. And so when you find yourself helping somebody over and over and over and over again, then you basically feel that you're just sort of kicking that can down the road, and it's never ever going to land. Well, then that's what happens with our young people. Some of them have never been offered any additional help, especially with issues and mental illness and stress and all kinds of things. They feel, it's sad when a 10-year-old or 11-year-old feel that the whole weight of the world is on their shoulders. And when they look at that weight and push it off, sometimes it can go, usually it goes in a negative direction. Usually it's a negative direction where they are fighting and latching out at people. So it's the type of thing where you have to really, 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 really sort of take a child on. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they even mentioned, they said, you know what we're missing in our society now is, and let me think if I can, border schools, borders, in other words, schools where children can go and stay and live. In other words, and I don't even think I'm saying, it sounds funny, but no, a place where children can go, stay, live, and learn. stay, live, and learn. And even if it's the type of thing where it's the type of situation where the child goes home on the weekend, you have put so much into that child from Monday through Friday that you will see a difference in that child's behavior, and you will see a difference in their personality. And as we go into these types of situations, uh, you want to be able to just save them beyond Friday. And a lot of times you can't save them beyond. Sometimes you cannot save them beyond letting them out in the afternoon and getting them back in the next morning, because so many things can happen between that 3 o'clock. So many things can happen between 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock the next day. Things have happened. Children have unfortunately have even been killed or murdered where they could not return to school the next day. And so the protection basically stops. We as educators, we can't protect them beyond 3 o'clock. And we can just all he can do is just hope and pray that they come back the next morning. They come back the next morning. Boarding schools, that's what I was trying to say. Back in the day, they had boarding schools for girls and boys. And usually these particular individuals, these children came from very, very wealthy families where they were able to pay for their child to go to a boarding school. Boarding school, that's what the word is, boarding school. And what would happen is and at one time they were only doing it for like high schoolers, but now they have boarding schools for elementary school children too. And I believe it's in place for those children, because what happens is that it's almost like going, not the military. I don't want that's too harsh of a word, but being able to go into a building, and that those individuals that are in charge of those children have them from Monday through Friday, and sometimes on the weekend. And then what ends up happening is they're teaching them, but they have them 24 hours a day, so they're able to feed into their personalities 24 hours a day. So they're not only teaching the coursework, science, social studies, reading, and math, but they're teaching them life skills at the same time. They're teaching them life skills. And that helps also, because a lot of times our children are not coming to us with any life skills. They're not coming to us with any life skills. And there's only 6 hours in a day that we have them. So there's only so much we can put in them. But even those life skills might even take the place of being able to make positive choices about what you do, realizing that things are just not instantaneous. But if you make an instantaneous decision, what most likely will be the repercussions of your instantaneous decision, So we're thinking about all of this. So we're working and talking about working with the whole child. And sometimes we don't have enough time in the day to work with the whole child. Work with the whole child. I'm going to go back to a time when I was when I went to school. 7th and 8th grade, I attended schools upper grade center. And with that upper grade center, what ended up happening is that I was able to we were in a classroom with all girls. And this particular school felt that this was important because young ladies were coming into their own as far as being very feminine, and the different things that happen to young girls at ages 13 and 14, sometimes now it's 12 and 11. We had a woman teacher that fed into us about being young ladies. She wore, and I remember her name was Miss Fibrance. I don't know if she's still alive or not, but she came in, she wore heels, she had her little pencil skirt on and a blouse, and she was dressed every day to perfection, and we just admired her. And we were a group of young girls. We were a group of girls, and then on another floor there were all boy classes. So 7th and 8th grade, they felt that this was the time to really feed into us as being young adults, and they fed into us, and I learned a whole lot. So I don't know if that's something that we need to try to bring back, because our children are craving life skills. They're begging for life skills. They don't know that they need it, but they are begging for life skills, and we need to be the ones to give it to them. Well, this was a very interesting conversation, and fantastic for those grants that are going back to those young people in prison. But I just hope that we can, before they go to prison, we can give them the same opportunities to get a college education. The Thrive Retreat. Go over to my website, AureliaDavis.com. See what we're offering. Click on the Thrive Retreat. I'll see you next week. Take care and have a great one now.